Hey folks, it's Matt once again, and welcome back to another review. And this is of the Jean-Claude Van Damme film, Sudden Death. Now, at this point, I'm not sure if I'm going to review this first or Timecop first, because they're both films that Van Damme did with Peter Hyams. And then Peter Hyams will work with Van Damme again on a film called Enemies Closer many years after these. But the first time they worked together was Timecop, and then they worked together on this, and that was 94, this is 95. And yes, this is Die Hard in a hockey arena. That's what it is. But I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that idea. It's a nice location for the other Die Hard clones. I like Jean-Claude Van Damme. I think he does fine. He does a good job as Darren McCord, who's a firefighter who, at the beginning of the film, was trying to rescue this girl. They get trapped in rubble. Stuff falls on them. Van Damme lives, but the girl dies. And I don't know if it's months or years later, I forget, he is separated from his wife. He wants to take his boy and his girl to the final game of the Stanley Cup. I forget what the two teams are. I'm not much of a hockey fan. But the seventh game of the finals of the Stanley Cup takes him there. He's the new I'm not sure new, but he's the fire safety inspector. And of course, what happens? Terrorists take over. They plant bombs all over. Say they want money, otherwise they blow it up. And they also had the vice president in the owner's box held hostage with a bunch of other people. And the bad guy is Powers Boothe, who does a great job. I like Powers Boothe as an actor. Love him in films like Southern Comfort. And Powers Boothe, very capable actor. Really good actor. I think he did a great job as the villain. Great job as the villain. I thought Van Damme did a great job as the hero. I think Peter Hyams, who I think did the cinematography as well, he did a good job directing-wise. He has some fun action scenes. I mean, the fight scene with the mascot, the penguin mascot, is definitely one people remember. You have some nice spectacle, pyrotechnics, and stunt work, especially in the third act. I mean, you have a helicopter that goes all the way down from the top of the stadium, all the way into the stadium, to the ground, to the ice. Done practically. You would never see that today, because that would be done CGI. So it was nice to see that. And Peter Hyams, I like him as a director. There's a lot of films he's done. He did Running Scared with Billy Crystal, which I enjoy. The 2010, the sequel to 2001, I really enjoy that sequel with Roy Scheider. Outland, which is my favorite Sean Connery film. He did Timecop, which I enjoy, which again, either I'll talk about before or after this, I don't know. I'll decide later. He did Stay Tuned with John Ritter, which is a fun comedy. I know there's others. The Relic, really love The Relic. So Peter Hyams is I would say he's one of my favorite directors. Doesn't always knock it out of the park. I think he did A Sound of Thunder, which wasn't that great. But even Enemies Closer, I liked it okay, but it's nowhere near as good as this or Timecop. Now, I do like the film. There are problems that I do have with the film, which I'll get to, but I do like that the bad guys, you really hate them, because, for example, one of the bad guys takes an old lady hostage at her home so that her husband, the cook, will let the bad guys into the stadium, or into far enough so they get an elevator and get up to where the vice president is. And then the bad guy kills the old woman. Powers Boothe, he's a no-nonsense guy. He's a guy who he'll kill you and not care. The vice president, what's the line he says? He says, well, he says a couple lines. When a woman's crying, Powers Boothe goes, "Will you make that cow stop moaning?" Just really, some funny lines. He also goes, when the president says something, he goes, "Oh, I get all funny. I get funny all over when you talk like that." And also, the vice president says, "What kind of lunatic are you?" And Powers Boothe goes, "The best kind." So he's a fun bad guy. I thought he did a good job, just like Alan Rickman in Die Hard. He's a very solid bad guy. And then there's an exchange that he has with Van Damme, which I always love this exchange, which I'll probably talk about later because it comes up later in the film, but I want to get the actual dialogue set up so that I'm not... Yeah, that's where it is, so I remember. Because I really do love that back and forth dialogue that they have. I will say the film did feel kind of slow watching it again, which I know it's not going to be action in 5 minutes. I understand that. So's Die Hard. But Die Hard, I never felt it slow, even from the beginning. I don't know what it is. Cliffhanger, I never felt it was slow. Even Under Siege, I never felt it was slow. But Sudden Death, I felt it was a little slow. Maybe because it's an hour and 50-minute movie, and really in the first hour, all Van Damme does is he has to fight with the mascot, who's one of the bad guys, who's actually a lady underneath, and then he fucks this other guy up real quick and stabs him in the throat with a bone. That's really all Van Damme does in the first hour, is two little things. So maybe that's why I felt it went a little slow. Another thing is I noticed some body doubles during the fights. Kind of what my problem was with Knockoff and a little bit with Double Team, but particularly Knockoff. It was in this one as well, and I didn't notice. Maybe there were body doubles in Timecop, but I didn't notice any. But here I could notice in the fight that he has with the mascot, and then there's another fight in a locker room where you have these two guys, including this bigger guy, where the character does that cool drop kick that you see in the trailers, both feet connecting to the guy's chest. I love that. I think that's a cool move. I'm sure Van Damme didn't do that, but there are times where I noticed the body double. It's like there's a body double, then up close of Van Damme's face. Both, I know I'm repeating myself, but in the fight with the mascot, the penguin mascot, and the fight in the locker room, I'm like, you got this guy to do fight scenes. Why do you have body doubles during the fight scenes? Why? So that took away some of the enjoyment when I could spot the fucking body double. I mean, come on now. That to me is one of the big problems with the film, as well as I do think it has a bit of a slow pace. But just when it cuts away to the hockey action, I don't give a shit about hockey, so I don't care about hockey. When it cuts away to Dorian Harewood, who's this, I forget if he's an FBI guy or he's a CIA or whatever it is. He's outside. I don't really care what's going on outside. Not much happens. One shot where their helicopters are going and a guy steers them away by shooting a rocket near it. One of the helicopters. When Van Damme gets some info to them through a billboard, a guy blows it up. Okay, some nice pyrotechnics. And then I forget what it is that you use to clean the... I forget what kind of vehicle it is, but it gets driven by itself, and it's so the bad guys to tell them, here's your agents, here's their dead bodies. Just but when it got to Van Damme and Powers Boothe, I was fine. So I do think it has a bit of a slow pace, sluggish, and seeing the body doubles, I can understand during a dangerous stunt scene, but when it's during a fight and you got a martial artist, that doesn't make any sense. Maybe other people didn't notice the body double, but I know it's there. I'm not making it up. I'm not just pulling shit out of the air. So that was irritating because especially when you watch it on DVD, you go, wait a minute, that face doesn't look familiar. Wait a minute, that's not Van Damme. But there's still some good stuff in it as well. That's why I don't hate the film. I like the film. I find enjoyment out of the film. It wouldn't be... I don't think it's one of his best. I know a lot of people say it's one of Van Damme's best. It's one of his most mainstream films. Big studio, Universal. Probably one of his most highest budgeted films that he starred in. And it's a good-looking movie. Again, there's a lot to like about it. I do like it, but there are problems that I have that doesn't make it one of my favorites. But I do really like the mascot fight scene because his little girl finds a woman dead, and the evil lady in the mascot grabs her. Van Damme follows. And that's probably, if there's three problems I have, other than the body doubles and the sluggish pace, is convenience. There's a lot of moments, and I know there's tons of movies I love that have convenient stuff in it, but I don't notice it, or I don't care, or I don't find it convenient. Here, though, for example, she's about ready to kill the little girl, and the gun is empty. Or there's a scene where the bombs are going to explode, and oh shit, Van Damme didn't get to all the bombs to disarm, but the goalie makes, or a player makes the goal in the last second, and it goes into sudden death, overtime. I'm like, wow, that would never. I know this is not realistic. I'm not saying that, but wow, that's really convenient. So those are the three things that do bug me about the film. But the stuff that don't bug me, the mascot fight, even though once in a while I do see a body double, there's still some cool stuff. Because I remember Peter Hyams did a fight in the kitchen with Sean Connery in Outland. So it was a nice. He's doing another fight in a kitchen since Outland. And Outland I love. I reviewed that film with Sean Connery. It's my favorite Sean Connery movie. And the review's still up, in case people are interested. But there's some really imaginative stuff here, because it's Van Damme's punching the mascot and it's kicking it, which is a weird thing to see, but it's pretty original. Haven't seen that too many times, unless you count Ace Ventura beating the shit out of the mascot at the end of Pet Detective. But this is a serious action movie, and this is like a weird thing. And apparently, reading up, there was a point where the script was supposed to be an action parody, and this is the only scene that survived that, which I could see, because it is silly on one end, but it's pretty cool and memorable on the other. Because there's a fan, and Van Damme lifts the mascot face into the fan, is cutting bits of it. It tries to hit Van Damme with his meat cleaver, and he's avoiding it. It tries to push Van Damme in this boiling water, and uh, Van Damme gets a tray and hits it in the throat. Ultimately, the bitch chokes. He gets not much of a fight. Sort of beats this other guy pretty quickly. Gets some information. Guy tries to kill him, but Van Damme stabs him in the neck with it's like a chicken bone, which I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. He's able to call to the outside. And then you're dealing with stuff with Dorian Harewood's character on the outside, which Die Hard, that works better because you like Reginald VelJohnson a lot more. There's a lot more to him than Dorian Harewood. There's a lot more to the stuff outside than it is in Sudden Death. But I do like bits where Van Damme has the phone, he gets pissed, throwing at the mirror, and another guy comes up and goes, "Oh, don't worry, son. They'll win." And pretty much a lot of his Van Damme disarming these bombs, and he made lucky guesses. Powers Boothe, you think he's gonna blow up the building, but what he has is actually a lighter, so that was kind of funny. And yeah, it cuts back to the hockey action frequently, which I'm like, I don't give a fuck about hockey. But I do like when it's just the Van Damme and it's actually Van Damme, I'm fine with it. Like when he makes this thing, it looks like something Spider-Man would have. Like Peter Parker would have the web spinners on his wrist, but Van Damme makes it so it shoots out darts. So he pretty much makes a Spider-Man thing. Only instead of a web, it shoots out darts. I like the bit where he has the bomb and this bad guy he goes, "This is the most powerful plastic explosive in the world." And the guy goes, "Yeah, I know, I planted it, but without the detonator, there's no boom." And Van Damme shoots it like Spider-Man would. It hits a dart right into the guy's neck. And then the funny thing is, another guy comes up and Van Damme tries to do the same thing. "This is the most powerful plastic explosive in the world." And then Darren Harewood comes in. Now this part doesn't make sense because Dorian Harewood hits the bad guy and tosses the Van Damme, and then they get shot at and split up. And pretty much the next scene or two, Dorian Harewood goes up to Powers' booth, and you find out Dorian is a bad guy. But why the fuck would Dorian Harewood knock the bad guy out who had the draw on Van Damme? To get information? What information? What information? What information would they get from Van Damme? How many bombs he disarmed? I mean, that's not it, because the thing that Powers Boothe has shows how many bombs are active and where they're at. So what information? I mean, again, it's like, that didn't make sense to me. Like Alan Rickman, that made sense because he didn't have a gun, and then it made sense when John McClane gave him an empty gun. Oh, no bullets. What do you think? I'm fucking stupid? That was cool. It made sense. But this, I'm like, I don't know if I want to blame the script for some of these conveniences or what. I don't know. Try and look. Gene Quintano. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But I do, again, I know I seem like I'm ranting on, but there's a lot of stuff I like. I like the little super soaker that he put with lighter fluid. And Dorian Harewood comes up and says, well, what are you going to do, drown me? And Van Damme goes, no. And he shoots the little super soaker with a lighter and burns Dorian Harewood up. Good practical burn effect. You know, actual guy on fire. Give credit to that stunt guy. Let's see. I think that's when you get the great dialogue between Powers Boothe and Van Damme. And I'm just going to say it because I think it's really good back and forth. I love the scene. Let's see. Powers Boothe. Well, now that wasn't sweet. Now, wasn't that sweet? She included me, Tom. Because he said his name was Tom. But Powers Boothe knows he's full of shit. Now, you tell me what an AOP is, or I'm going to shoot this little pumpkin. Listen to me. Listen good. If you touch her, you look at her cross-eyed, you lose. Well, how do you figure that, fireman? Okay, here's the game, and here are the rules. You've got your bombs. You've got your hostages, so you can get your money. I'm going to try to stop you. I don't want anyone to get hurt. You stop me, you win. I get your bombs. I win. That's the game we're going to play, you piece of shit. Now, if you touch her, the game's off. Then I'll come after you. You have to kill me in front of everybody in this arena. There will be panic. The Secret Service, SWAT, the fucking Navy will have to come in here. Then you don't get your money. You lose, pal. Well, that's not bad for a civil servant. Oh, by the way, in the Secret Service, AOP is assault on principal. In that case, our esteemed vice principal. I don't give a shit. Oh, now, Tom, come on. If you're going to play, you gotta play nice. So you don't run your little ass off. I know where the bombs are, so I know where you're going to be. Then come and get me. I didn't do as good of a job as they did, but that's why you should see the movie and see the scene for yourself. But I love that exchange they have. I thought that's a really great exchange, and I didn't do it justice. I fucked up. Couldn't even talk right. That's why I should have had a bottle of water here. But see, I like exchanges like that. I would like to have seen more of those kind of exchanges between Van Damme and Powers Boothe. You know, the fucking Navy will have to come in here. You have to come and get me. I love that. There's a chase through the stands, and I do love the bit where he has nowhere to hide, so he has to pretend to be this goalie, and he comes out. And I love this made me chuckle when Van Damme is the goalie. It goes, "I'll stay down there. Oh Christ!" And then they go back, and then they go forth, and get closer, and Van Damme goes, "Oh shit!" But he's able to make the catch, and I like that bit of business. I like that. Then he realizes he's got to get out of there and disarm more bombs. So he comes up, he just punches the guy, and the coach goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" So I like that bit. And then the little fight that he has in the locker room, he's still in his hockey pads. He hits a guy with a hockey stick and hits him. A little bit of gunplay. But then, again, during this scene, I see a bit of the body double. And I don't understand why there's a... You could tell because the wide shot is a body double when he's struggling with a guy. There's an up close of Van Damme's face. And when you see the wide shot, you can tell that's not Van Damme's face. Don't believe me? Freeze frame on it. You tell it's not Van Damme is... It's kind of irritating. I mean, I like some bits in there where the character doing the drop kick on the guy that you see jumping up, hitting the guy with both feet on his chest, and the guy flying back. I like that. Again, probably Van Damme didn't do that, but I like that move. I like that shot. It hit the guy's face, so they did a good job with that. But others, is you can tell it's a body double. But then that's, again, you get the very convenient, he's only gotten some of the bombs, and then it goes into sudden death because of a last minute shot that is made. So it's like, okay, gotta swallow that convenience up. And yeah, I know there's a lot of films who do that, but this one just bugged me along with the other things. But you have some fun, great practical stunt work and practical special effects being used. Where Van Damme makes these bombs, he gets to the top of the dome of the arena. He hangs by, fights a guy on the top of it, hits a guy, the guy slides down all the way the curve of the dome. He's running with another guy, he's hanging on. One thing leads to another, the guy gets fucked up. Van Damme jumps, his character jumps, swinging on the lights are hanging up, swings on this thing that goes down, swings on another light. Some really good stunt work. Really, really top-notch stunt work. And swings into the top of the owner's box, drops the bomb, goes in, shoots the bad guys with the little machine gun he picked up. And then, of course, he rescues everyone, and the little girl wanders off and gets taken again. And then he has to chase Powers Boothe. And then him and Powers Boothe get in a fight, but it's so far away, it looks like it could have just been two body doubles fighting each other. So they didn't really mean much. But I do like to come up as a Powers Boothe because he gets in the helicopter, and Van Damme gets a gun and shoots the helicopter, hits the pilots and such, practical blood squibs, and a really nice effect. Really good special effects. They would never do this again practically. They would do it CGI, but here it's done practically. I'm like, I wish there was a making of to know how the hell they did this. The entire fucking helicopter crashes down. Was it done with miniatures? I don't know. And it goes right through the top of the arena, all the way down, and the helicopter is now like this, and Powers Boothe is screaming, and it lands and it crashes. You know what's funny? Why does some of this remind me of Cliffhanger? Because the beginning has your hero in a situation where the person he's trying to save dies. Then you have Powers Boothe, who's just as ruthless as John Lithgow. And then you have an ending where the bad guy's in a helicopter and goes down, except instead of a mountain, is into an arena and blows up. And I would say I like Cliffhanger a lot more, because I think Cliffhanger just went at a better pace and was just more exciting, more thrilling. I didn't notice too many of those Stallone body doubles. Wasn't as noticeable as was in this film. But I'm not hating on the film. I do like the film. I think that's a good comeuppance, really good special effects. And that's the thing. It has some decent fights when it's there. It's not tons of fights. There's some decent fights when it's there. Although when you notice a body double, that is a complaint I do have. The score is alright, but I don't remember much of the score, to be honest. Powers Boothe makes a great bad guy. Van Damme does perfectly fine as the hero. The location is nice. It's different. Hockey rink. Different enough so it doesn't get too boring. And the nice things they come up with, like the darts that came out of his wrists, or the little super soaker to be used as a flamethrower, and the nice stunt work at the end trying to get to the owner's box. It's a good movie. You know, it's an enjoyable film. It's an entertaining film. It's just not one of my favorite Van Damme films because of those big three things. Noticeable body doubles during Van Damme fights. Sluggish pace. Again, maybe because in the first hour, Van Damme only does two things. And maybe other films have done that, but it felt more sluggish in this than those films. I don't know why. And what was the convenience at times did bug me. It's like, okay, that's a bit too convenient. Okay, the gun's empty, and okay, right at the last second, and okay, just once, but when you do it more than once, it's just okay. I do like the film. I do enjoy the film. For me, I don't think it's one of Van Damme's best, but it is an entertaining film. But anyway, that's Sudden Death. I would say I like Timecop more than this, but Timecop's just such a cool idea to start with, and I didn't notice many body doubles in that movie. I don't know, I just got more into the story of that, but this is still a good movie, Sudden Death. Still a good Van Damme film. Terror goes into overtime. But yeah, that's Sudden Death from 1985. Hope you enjoy the review. And thanks for watching. Stay tuned for another Van Damme movie review. Later.